Righty guys, so in today's video, we're going to be going over every team's most accurate and most inaccurate player in their history. Similar to something that I did do last week where I went over every AFL team's best player according to stats. So the way to be eligible in this list, you've got to have at least 50 scoring shots for your certain club. This is only counting stats from after 1965, because before 1965, they didn't really take record of too many stats other than just goals and games, really. So first off on the list, we've got the Adelaide Crows. Obviously, we're going to be going in alphabetical order like we usually do in these videos. So topping out the list as most accurate player is a current day player, in fact, with Darcy Fogarty. He has a goal kicking accuracy of 74.63%, kicking 50 goals, 17 so far in his career. And Nathan Van Berlo being most inaccurate Crows player, kicking 68 goals, 79. But to be honest with you, it's really not as bad as what it could have been. If you see some other figures in this list, it's going to be a lot worse. Van Berlo had an accuracy of 46.25%. So honestly, not woeful. Next up, we've got the Lions, and a player that you guys probably have heard of, Alistair Lynch, tops the list with a goal kicking accuracy of 67.21%. So for every 3 scoring shots, you would expect him to kick more than 2 goals. He kicked 371 goals, 181 behinds whilst at the Lions. But he did play, I think, for Fitzroy and the Brisbane Bears. And Stefan Martin, who is now a Dog, scored a goal 38.98% of the time, with a goal-kicking tally of 23 goals, 36. Now for Carlton, we've got a player who sort of shocks me, because he was the player who kicked a point from less than a metre out. Literally just walked into the post and kicked a point. But this is Peter Jones. 71.54% of the time he would kick a goal. So that means that he's, for every 10 shots on goal, over 7 times he'd kick a goal. He had a goal kicking tally of 284 goals, 113. So pretty good stuff there. And Dennis Richard on the other end of the spectrum with a goal kicking accuracy of 39.6%. Now for Collingwood, this surprised me. He's a current day player, so he still plays for them. We've got Will Hoskin-Elliott. Will Hoskin-Elliott had a goal kicking accuracy of 72%. He had a goal kicking tally of 103 goals, 40. But obviously he did play for the Giants before moving to the Pies. So as a whole, his accuracy isn't as good. But at the Pies, it's for whatever reason really good. And Russell Olsen, a player who I've never heard of as being most inaccurate, with a goal kicking percentage of 34.37%, kicking 22 goals, 42. We move on to Essendon, and a player with a sort of a weird name, Jay Neagle, 69.49%, with a goal kicking tally of 41 goals, 18. And Brian Sampson, who is, I would argue, very unlucky to make this list, because whilst his goal kicking accuracy is 38%, not really too surprising, he scored 19 goals, 31 behinds throughout his career. And as I said earlier, to be eligible, you've got to have at least 50. And that just adds up to 50. So quite unfortunate there for Brian Sampson, but unfortunately he's making the list. We move on to Fremantle. We've got Matty Taberner with a goal kicking accuracy of 66.19%, booting 141 goals, 72 so far in his career. I know I feel like this shocks me, because I know Taberner isn't a bad player, but he's not really known for his accuracy, I don't think. And a lot of Freo fans give him a lot of shit for just being an idiot. They call him Crabner. And Gareth Ibbotson, who obviously played for the Dockers around 10 or so years ago, had a goal kicking accuracy of only 42.3%. So not woeful compared to other figures, but not ideal. For Geelong, the most accurate player isn't Cam Mooney, it is Jason Mooney, who I don't know if they're related or anything, but he had an insane goal kicking accuracy of 73.52%, with a goal kicking tally of 50 goals, 18 behinds. And Colin Eales, another player with a somewhat of a strange name. He only kicked a goal 35% of the time he'd have a shot, with a goal kicking tally of 23 goals, 42 behinds. For Gold Coast, both the players that I'm going to mention do not play for them anymore. And to be fair, that really doesn't shock too many people. When do the Suns ever have players that actually stay? Charlie Dixon was the best Sun in terms of goal kicking accuracy, though obviously now being at the Power, he scored a goal 69.62% of the time, with a goal kicking tally of 94 goals, 41 behinds. And funnily enough, Trent McKenzie being the most inaccurate Suns player, but he plays for the Power just like Dixon. So I don't know what the Power are doing, getting the most accurate and most inaccurate Suns players to their side, but only scored a goal 36.66% of the time. And for the GWS Giants, 2 of the players that I will mention still play for them currently. Daniel Lloyd being the most accurate with a goal kicking percentage of 67.44%. kicking 58 goals, 28 behinds. So just over 2 goals every 3 shots on goal. And for the worst, we've got Brent Daniels, with his percentage being 38.60%. And only scoring 22 goals, 35. This one sort of shocked me. I didn't know he only kicked 22 goals in his career, let alone 22 goals, 35. For Hawthorn, we have another current day player in Ben McAvoy. He has a goal kicking percentage of 73% on the dot, kicking 73 goals and 27 behinds. And Leon Rice, he'd probably go well with some chicken and rice. 35.62% was his accuracy in front of goals, scoring 26 goals, 47 behinds throughout his career at the Hawks. Now for Melbourne, we've got Mark Jackson, who is a player that I'm sure many know for probably the wrong reasons. He played the Demons for, I'm pretty sure, just 2 seasons, and he ended up scoring 152 goals, 60 behinds. So he was actually a really, really good player. And his goal kicking accuracy as well was really good, with it being 71.69%. So again, for every 10 shots on goal, you would expect Mark Jackson to score over 7. And Dennis Clark, being the most inaccurate D's player, only scoring a goal 39% of the time, with a goal kicking tally of 49 goals, 76 behinds. Next up, we move on to North Melbourne, and this really surprises me. So the guy who's on top of the list for the Roos is a current day player in Nick Larkey. But take this. His goal kicking accuracy is the best so far of anyone from this list, with one of 75.23%. So that means for every 4 shots on goal, Nick Larkey is expected to kick more than 3 goals for every 4 shots. He's so far in his career booted 82 goals, 27 the Savlaki, whilst on the other end of the spectrum, Noel Tisdale scored 19 goals, 38 with an accuracy of only 33%. So that's a difference of over 4 goals for every 10 shots. And we move on to Port Adelaide, and the man who leads the pack for the Power in terms of accuracy is Jay Schultz. It doesn't surprise me. He's always been a great player for the Power. His accuracy is 69.79%, booting 275 goals, 119 behinds throughout his time at the Power. But many do forget that he did actually start his career at the Tigers, and he played a few seasons for them at the time. Most inaccurate Port player is a current day player in Sam Powell-Pepper. He's scored 48 goals, 65 so far throughout his career, with a not a great goal kicking accuracy of 43.47%. Now, I don't know if you guys heard, but I know Bob did, because Bob Hurd makes the list for the Tigers as most accurate with a really, really healthy 75%. And his goal kicking tally is quite satisfying. 45 goals, 15. It's just very even. And most inaccurate Tigers player is Merv Keane. I've never heard of this guy in my life, but he has a goal kicking accuracy of 39%. Kicking 36 goals, 56 throughout his time at the Tigers. Now, moving on, we've got the Saints, and whoever I read as most accurate player is someone who I definitely wouldn't mind having at our list at the moment, considering that we are one of the most inaccurate sides. But that player is Mark Scott, with a really good goal kicking accuracy of 70.5%. Throughout his time at the Saints, he scored 110 goals, 46 behinds. However, we're going to be moving a little bit more towards familiar territory for the Saints, as the most inaccurate Saints player is Ian Cooper. He played back in the 70s, I think. He scored a goal 37.7% of the time. For Sydney, we've got the great Tony Plugger Lockett. Doesn't surprise anyone that he's up on top of the list here. For the Swans, he scored 462 goals, 202 behinds, with an insane goal kicking accuracy of 69.58%. In fact, throughout his whole career, I think he had a goal kicking accuracy of over 69%. And considering he kicked over 1,300 goals, that is insane. So obviously goes to show why he was such a great player for so long. And Greg Lambert, being most inaccurate Swans player, only scoring a goal once in every 3 shots, 33%. He scored 22 goals, 44 at the Swans. Now next up we have West Coast, and Scotty Cummins leads the way with a goal kicking accuracy of 71.49%. He booted 158 goals, 63, whilst Dwayne Lamb is the player most inaccurate at the Eagles, only scoring 43.13% of the time, with a goal kicking tally of 44 goals and 58 behinds. And last team we've got is the Western Bulldogs, and I'm sure before I read the tally, guess the player you think that is most accurate for the Western Bulldogs. I reckon you guys probably got that right, because if anyone guessed Tory Dixon, you are spot on, because Tory Dixon had an insane goal kicking accuracy of 74.79%. He almost scored 3 goals for every 4 shots he had. And considering he kicked over 181 goals in his career, that is quite an insane stat, and goes to show why Dixon was one of the best players in terms of goal kicking accuracy. Last and also least, because this was the least accurate, and this is, Graham Cook with a goal kicking accuracy of under 33%. So that means for every 3 shots on goal, he would score less than 1. But that rounds up the list for today's video. If there are any figures or any players that sort of shocked you on this list, for me, I would have to say Nick Larkey shocked me the most. I had no idea that he had a goal kicking accuracy of over 75%. But if you guys enjoyed the video, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to leave a like and also subscribe. I will be trying to get out more footy videos over the off season. But obviously, since it is the off season, there will be other content that isn't necessarily AFL related, but I'll still be making stuff that I find enjoyable and that I think that you guys will find enjoyable, even though it's not AFL content. But I've got an Omegle video coming out next week, along with a couple of other AFL videos most likely. So thanks everyone for watching the video, and we will see you soon in my next one.